Hey, hello. I am Debbie Peterson, and this is the way forward in your career. And I'm really excited because today I have a colleague and friend of mine, Holly Duckworth, on the show, and she is going to be talking about mindful leadership. And she is going to share the 3 ways that you can be more mindful in your career. So let me tell you a little bit about Holly before we get started. She is the CEO of Leadership Solutions, and she is the founder of the C-Suite Network Mindful Leadership Council. She's a trailblazer. Her work transforms businesses and industries, and she is the producer and the host of the Everyday Mindfulness Show with more than 150 episodes, so plenty to go back and find if this resonates with you. Holly has provided training programs on applied mindful leadership around the world. She is the award-winning author of Sell More, Stress Less, 52 Tips to Become a Mindful Sales Professional, and Everyday Mindfulness. I don't know why I can't get that word out today. From chaos to calm in a crazy world. And don't we all need that right about now? So Holly, I'm so glad that you're here today. This is such critical information, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Debbie, well, thank you so much for your yes to having me on the show, especially in this transformative time, this time of reboot and renewal and refresh. And, I know that, all of us on some level are looking for that sense of clarity. And I'm kind of laughing because you might remember back in like November and December when we were setting up our vision boards and our goals, we're like, oh, it's 2020, clear vision, clear vision. Did you have a vision board like that, Debbie?
I did.
Well, what's funny about that is like, in order to get clear vision, we have to have blurry vision. So I'm just a little mindful that maybe as a collective human family, we kind of created this experience we're in right now.
Well, plenty of us certainly have a blurry vision. Nobody knows what's next. We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, so that's where mindfulness comes in. Is mindfulness is kind of an interesting paradox of a word, because there's mind space fullness, like your mind is big and overwhelmed, and then there's a practice of mindfulness, which is that practice of centering. And I always like to start a conversation with somebody with kind of a definition. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
So mindfulness is a fancy word for the practice of being fully present in the moment with non-judgment. That's a lot of words. Recently, actually kind of during this pandemic experience, a movie came out called The Mindfulness Movement Movie. And in that movie, Deepak Chopra is quoted as saying, we're kind of stuck with this word mindfulness, but if he could reframe it, he'd reframe it as awarefulness. This is a time for us to really become fully aware and present in this moment. And I know a lot of you that listen to the show, you're focused on growing your career or advancing your career. And for this time right now, I want to give you an invitation to mindfulness. And as Debbie kind of queued it up, she said, 3 things that we can use as mindful practices. Now, mindfulness can get a little messed up with meditation. And I'll tell you, Debbie, both are really great. And sometimes they overlap, because mindfulness, there's a meditation style called mindfulness meditation. Mm-hmm. So that traditional thing you think of, sitting, at your desk or in lotus position, breathing, centering, great practice. And if that works for you, I absolutely say continue doing it right now and maybe even add a few extra minutes. But if that's not working for you, or it's kind of this whole idea is something you want to explore, because, in this time of pandemic, we can try new things. I teach what I call applied mindfulness. So these are little things that you can do to infuse into your day, whether you're furloughed, whether you're exploring entrepreneurship, if you're waiting for your job to come back. These are little things to think about. Would that be helpful?
That would be a pen is ready.
pen is ready, Debbie says. So, one place I start is actually with that book, the Everyday Mindfulness book. And the opening says, the book was written in 2018. We live in a world of bigger, better, faster, and more. A world as it was really truly wasn't sustainable. So the book is an invitation to say, how do we slow down a few minutes each day? And we start with the practice of intention setting. So an intention is another weird fancy word for how will you put your energy in motion? And how will we do that each and every day? I'm sure, Debbie, you probably have a to-do list a mile long.
One or two, yeah.
Yeah. And it's we reward ourselves if we have more than one, right?
I just want to cross it off, right? Yeah.
I always like to put next to those to-do list items what I call like the to-be list. That's your intention. How are you going to be in the doing? So in this time, if we don't pause each day to choose our energy will choose us. That's that consciousness of overwhelm and I'm exhausted. And then we go to the water cooler or the virtual watercolor and we reward each other. Oh, you're busy, I'm busy, or I'm busy, or you're stressed, I'm more stressed. Did you hear what my kid did? Oh my gosh, my employer did this. Like, let's invite a mindfulness practice each day of how are we going to be in our doing. And sometimes we utilize that word. I'll have people use like the letters of their name. So like my name obviously is Holly. So I might use the H in Holly and go, okay, I'm going to choose to be an H word today. I'm going to choose to be healthy today. My intention is to be healthy in everything that I do. Debbie, maybe if you're having a hard time trying to decide, like, what's my intention for today? You just pick that D. And then we sit with, does a positive D word come up for you, Debbie?
Well, considering my to-do list, it's diligent.
Diligent. Okay, I was going with decisive. So yeah, but that's an easy mindfulness practice. You can do certainly by yourself, or you can maybe, do with a coworker, or do with your kids. How are we going to be in the doing today? And mindfully sit in that, not only the head gears of it, but what does it feel like in your body to be diligent? What's it feel like in your body to be healthy or happy? We actually live in a feeling universe, and we're certainly seeing that expand across the news. Fear is rampant. Well, so is love, and so is joy. And this is our chance now to mindfully step into that. And when we do that as individuals, and then as families, and as streets, and as neighborhoods, we're going to grow that across the world. And I really, truly think that this is a time as we're seeking clarity that we created one word at a time, and that's by setting your intention. So that's kind of your first mindfulness practice. Another one is really popular right now, and I kind of mash these up with two things. It's really the idea of breathing and centering. Take that moment to actually feel the breath in and feel the breath out, and maybe even let your shoulders drop. The healing of the body, healing through the breath, letting go of that which no longer serves us can be a powerful thing that can become a mindfulness practice. And I used to say, even before all this time of transformation, wash your hands. And it wasn't like wash your hands like it means now, but it was mindfully go to the sink. Use that moment to feel the water coming over your hands. Stop with the busy mind of, oh man, I'm late for this meeting, or I got to jump onto the next Zoom. But utilize that, 2 minutes to feel the soap in your hands, feel the water, and then use that breath again to wash that stress down your shoulders, down your hands, and down the drain. This is a little mindfulness practice that people don't even have to know that you're doing, that you can do to reset yourself. If you're a little bummed out that maybe your career's changed or your family life has changed, like, be here now. There's a certain sense of mindfulness, being in the present moment, that also attracts the idea of acceptance.
And I know that I'm in my head a lot. I'm in my head, the wheels are spinning, I'm, looking for solutions. And so to have something even that small to do, to wash your hands, to feel the water coming on, the water over your hands, how the soap, because that's something that's mindless normally for us, that we just, we're doing it and we're thinking about something else. Just like when we're driving our car or brushing our teeth or blow drying our hair, it's just our mind goes in a different direction. We don't have to focus on it. And I have caught myself so many times, Holly, even walking, starting out with an intention to be mindful and just notice what I notice while I'm walking. And then sooner, than later, my mind is going and I'm off in a different direction, and I'll recognize it and have to pull myself back and just notice what I notice. Notice flowers, notice sounds, notice feelings, notice the smell of something as I'm outside. And it takes practice.
And I would add what you're talking about in your story there too, is the idea of mindful movement. Mm-hmm. That in a time when we're in different levels of stay at home, shelter in place, the world's now open. And I believe this is going to be a little bit of a dimmer switch for the next year, where things are going to super open and then they may close down a little, and there's going to be a dimmer about the energy of that. That being mindful about movement, even if it's just as simple as, walking across your office, or, walking out to the mailbox. In fact, I think my neighbors probably think I'm crazy, because we both, my boyfriend and I, work from home, so we don't go out a lot. And so oftentimes I'll walk to the mailbox and back, walk to the mailbox and back. But it's keeping that energy flowing towards that which you want to have happen in your life. And I complement that with kind of our third practice. If we're going to set an intention, that's kind of that one word. What's our energy we're choosing? We're going to take that second piece of really being in this state of getting back into feeling in our body, breathing. And then it goes along with your walking. And I have done this for years. It's that affirmation, a short, positive, present tense statement that can kind of get you out of the downward spiral. And do this again with a buddy, or have fun with it. I often have a Post-it note on my little computer. Be here now. Be fully in this meeting with Debbie. Don't have the phone going. Don't have the text message. Be here now. Monotasking. I hope when we reboot our world, we can celebrate the idea of monotasking versus multitasking, because we all know that multitasking isn't super efficient or effective. But yet we don't reward the idea of monotasking. So, one of my affirmations really early in one of my career reboots, because I know some of us are going through that career reboot right now, is I am CEO of a profitable leadership and self-help development company, simultaneously supported by my loving and faithful husband. Together we create a life of health, wealth, and happiness. Now that's a little bit long affirmation, but I was looking to infuse my work life and my relationship life. Now, let me just be clear. At the time I was saying that, my business was in a lull, and I had no prospect of men in my life. But I would say that affirmation, and I would mindfully walk it, and I would feel the success of that in my body. And no joke, less than 60 days later, man showed up in my life, business turned around, life happened. So, if you're moving through a time of transition right now and you're looking for clarity, really think about how you're going to set a positive energy in your body, and then move that positive energy with your words. Because when you say it out loud, your heart hears your voice, and your heart starts to engage in bringing all those things into your life. So
energetically, your heart puts out, energy. So it really is an attraction. It's, energy that resonates with whatever it is that you're putting out. And it's, it's funny that you said that, because I see that as kind of like a signpost or a benchmark that, when you are mindfully moving and you have that affirmation, that positive present tense affirmation. I mean, it really is, in my study of Huna, it's a practice of putting an ask out. It's almost pule in Hawaiian is prayer. And so, I go through and we'll write a pule for an event or for a client, to be very intentional about what is it that I want to create and experience, not just for myself, but for the client as well. So I see the affirmation just really being something that you can align with. I mean, it just starts your day.
And this is a good time to go back. If you did create that vision board, and maybe early in this time of 2020, you're like, oh man, I'm never going to have anything on it. Maybe this is a time to go back and kind of sit with it and say, well, maybe it looks a little bit differently, but I can still connect to that thing that I want, that's going to take me one step a little closer. Maybe you had the idea of, I'm going to read this particular book or take this class. I'm going to participate in this workshop. I'm going to try to make this recipe. Just one little thing right now that will bring you a little closer to that clarity within yourself could open a possibility for going back to work from your remote office. It might open the possibility for coming off a furlough. It might open up totally different career opportunities, or you decide to start a company. But right now, if you're looking to get clear, it's just going to take those moments of mindfulness, being fully breathing with yourself and listening to that still small voice within you that is still guiding you to that highest and best thing for you, even if the path looks a little bit different.
Yeah. Getting to clarity, the company, it's a process. It's a process to get clarity. And mindfulness is definitely an element, because it's not about adding something to who you are. It's about, what's covering it up. It's really discovering what's covering it up, so that, because the answers are inside. At some level, you know what you want. You knew what you wanted at some level in a mate, in a husband, for business. And the more clear you are on that, the more ability you have to really bring it to you.
And that gentle reminder, mindfulness is a practice of being present in the moment without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So doing our best right now to not should on ourselves, not would have, not could have, but that acceptance place of right now. One of my coaching clients, we were talking, and she's in the hospitality industry, just, much like you are in your speaking career, and everything's kind of like 90% of my friends are unemployed right now. Like, let's be in this place of acceptance. Let's be in this place of affirming something new and positive. And I asked her, I said, how are you doing? This was about 4 weeks into her furlough. She said, I'm expanding my possibilities. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if she doesn't go back into a career that maybe is a little different than she thought, but is a better use of her skills and gives her the chance to do something she never dreamed possible.
Well, and you as a friend, she's got that ability to tap into, enhance her mindfulness skills so that she can figure out what that is. Because I think for many people, what was may not be going forward. What was important may no longer be important. What was satisfying, priorities may have shifted. So it's not a one and done.
And it's a celebrate of the successes along the way, that nobody could have predicted this experience. So you're not right or wrong or good or bad if your career is changing. You're just literally taking that opportunity to reboot your clarity in what your gifts are and how to share them in the world.
Well, these skills are so handy. And let's see, to recount, we have number 1 is setting the intention, the to-be list instead of the to-do list. And the quote that you said that really stuck with me, it was just, we choose our energy or it chooses us. And that was wow. That will stick with me because it is so true. And yet sometimes you have to hear it a different way. So thank you so much for that. Number 2, breathing and centering. And I love the example of washing the hands, just to be present and to feel the entire experience. And number 3, that affirmation, that present tense, positive affirmation. I mean, really, I had a post the other day. It was say it the way you want it, and just being clear about what you want. So I can't thank you enough for coming and spending some time and sharing these with us. And how can people find out more about you and resources that you have to offer?
Well, my bridge page for all of my companies is leadershipsolutionsintl.com. You can find my podcast there, all of the resources on mindful sales training, and then all of my work on virtual speaking, face-to-face speaking, as well as coaching. So leadershipsolutionsintl.com, you can find it all right there.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today. And I am Debbie Peterson of Getting to Clarity, and I am working to advance women and emerging leaders to the next level or the next chapter of their career. And until the next time, here is wishing you the clarity you deserve. Have a really great day, and bye-bye for now.